Now, are they Hebrews? Part 3. Hello, Bramu. Many I just say what's Abba. To all my Twi speakers, if there are any, I pray that there are some. I love Twi. In the previous part of this series, we looked at some of the curses that will come upon Yahuwah's chosen people if they stray from Yahuwah's laws. Let's continue to examine them and see if they remind us of any specific group of people around the world. Deuteronomy chapter 28 verses 35 and 36. Again, I'm not going to say each and every chapter and verse. No. Just look at the screen. Yahuwah shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. Yahuwah shall bring thee, and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other Elohim, wood and stone. Yahuwah's promise to afflict his chosen people with what appears to be arthritis and ulcers is another common condition among certain people groups. There are also groups of people who were scattered throughout the world and taken captive. To this day, these scattered people have not returned home because they're still worshiping idols, knowingly or unknowingly. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations whither Yahuwah shall lead thee. Nations all over the world look down on specific groups of people who always seem to be the source of amusement, but in the worst possible ways. They're ridiculed and used as a warning so much that they despise each other and create divisions among themselves. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but thou shalt neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coasts, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olive shall cast its fruit. Like I said in a previous video, there are people all over the world that live in beautiful lands but never seem to have enough to survive or prosper. They literally produce almost everything, or they produce the best of everything, or an abundance of everything. But it just never works for them. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. In certain areas of the world, children are disappearing daily, sometimes sold into slavery or used as organ donors for evil, wealthy people. Certain groups of people in this world seem cursed. It's almost obvious who they are. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Have you ever noticed how some groups of people can live in a place for a long time, yet never rise above the bottom of society? Meanwhile, other groups may move into the same neighborhoods and be in the same circumstances for only a generation before moving on. In just one generation, a new person in the neighborhood has acquired more wealth and power. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hast not hearkened unto the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. If Yahuwah's chosen people do not obey, then all these curses will fall on them, not just one. And they shall be upon thee for a sign, and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Are these curses a sign? A sign for who? And why would Yahuwah's chosen people need a sign? Have they lost or forgotten their identity? Can anyone else see this sign? Because thou servest not Yahuwah thy Elohim with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. See, a good servant serves with joy, not with contempt. Worshipping Yahuwah should never be a burden or an inconvenience. Why would you even do it if it's going to be a problem for you? Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahuwah shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck, until he hath destroyed thee. Yahuwah shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Being left at the mercy, or lack thereof, of an enemy or oppressor, nah, I'll have none of that. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle, and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kine, or flocks of the sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates, until thy high fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest, throughout all thy land, and he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all thy land, which Yahuwah thy Elohim hath given thee. Yahuwah's chosen people had not known a real burden until their most recent captivity. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, the flesh of thy sons and of thy daughters, which Yahuwah thy Elohim hath given thee, in the siege and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemies shall distress thee. So that the man that is tender among you, and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children which he shall leave, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children, whom he shall eat, because he hath nothing left him in the siege, and in the straitness, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. In times of trouble, Yahuwah's chosen people have resorted to more evil and have abandoned all forms of brotherly kindness and compassion. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter, and toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear. For she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege and straitness, wherewith thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. Even mothers who bring all human beings into the world abandon their natural instincts and become selfish and savage. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, Yahuwah thy Elohim, then Yahuwah will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed, even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law, them will Yahuwah bring upon thee, until thou be destroyed. Not only will the rebellious nation of Yashar'el be hit with these curses, but also the plagues of Egypt. Also things that he's not even saying, things that we probably never even heard of. Yikes. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas you were as the stars of heaven for multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of Yahuwah thy Elohim. And it shall come to pass that as Yahuwah rejoiced over you to do good and to multiply you, so Yahuwah will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. Not only were Yahuwah's chosen people decimated in number because of their disobedience, but they were also removed from their land, and they have not returned yet. If they had, there would have been peace, and all would have been judged, and the righteous rewarded. Surely the world hasn't missed that part, has it? And Yahuwah shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even until the other. And there thou shalt serve other Elohim, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. There were several slave trades where people were removed from one continent and traded all over the world. Not only in the Americas, but long before that, slaves were being sold to Asia. But literally also just everywhere. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but Yahuwah shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance of thy life. In the morning thou shalt say, Would to Yahuwah it were even, and at even thou shalt say, Would it to Yahuwah it were morning. For the fear of thine heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. Some groups of people spend their entire lives just trying to get through the day, and always feeling mentally, emotionally, and spiritually exhausted. That ought not be so. It's not even necessary. And Yahuwah shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way thereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. He's meaning the way they came out of Egypt is not the way that they'll go back in the next time. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy thee. Now don't be fooled by the word Egypt. We know that Egypt was not the name of Ham's descendant. It was Mitzrayim. The word Egypt is actually derived from the Hebrew word for bonds or bondage, just as Mitzrah is. Mitzrah is like laws or bondage. It's what causes you to be bound. That land was the place where Yahuwah's chosen people got their first taste of captivity after all. So Egypt isn't actually that place, or it might be that place, but there's no guarantee that it's that specific place. That place has had other names in the past, but we know that wherever Yahuwah's chosen nation was bound, it's what they called the place of bondage. It is Mitzrayim. Anyway, I'm tangenting. Stop, I have to stop doing this. And don't be fooled by the mention that nobody would buy them, because people did buy them as slaves. What the verse truly means is that nobody would redeem them. Think about it. There's 3 ways for a slave to be freed. 1, his master releases him. 2, he runs away. 3, someone else redeems him by buying their freedom. Think carefully about all this information, because it should be becoming very clear who these people are. But until next time, Hallelujah.